Good morning, David, and thanks for getting together for this important opportunity to remember one of our dear friends, Jerry Berman, who passed early October, was buried 2 weeks ago. And David and I wanted to have a uh, remembrance primarily for the family and friends because these are important times when we lose a beloved dear friend. So, David, I want you to start by just telling what comes to mind, and maybe start by if you remember meeting Jerry.
Uh, my first recollection of meeting Jerry was when I was 10 years old and I was playing Little League Baseball. And I played for Williamson Road for George Saul. And George that year coached two teams. He coached the 12 and under league team, and he coached the Pony League team, Williamson Road Kiwanis. And Jerry was shortstop on Kiwanis, so I got to hang around a lot of their practices. There were guys on that team like Jerry, Rick Saul, very good pitcher, Tommy Bowling, Lefty McLawhorn, all of them to me, legends of Wilson Road. And Jerry was the shortstop on that team, and a very smooth shortstop, long rangey, great range. I think he batted second, and he was just a very, very excellent ball player. And like a lot of the older guys, were very gracious to me. I was a little snot hanging around the ball club trying just to pick up things from him. And Jerry and those guys, they just took me on like I was their kid brother. And, he was just gracious. And from there, we developed a pretty good friendship. Always said hello. And I just admired him for the way he played, the way he conducted himself. He was just a model person to follow for someone as young as I was. And I did that for his career through William Fleming.
Jerry and I met at church, Huntington Court. And of course, when you meet people at church, you get to know an entire family. And so his parents were significant, and his dad would always come to church and sit quietly and then sit in the same spot. And I can remember them well. And his dad was of Jewish heritage. And so the fact that he agreed to come to church was a significant thing in the family. But I grew up with Jerry, but I wanted to tell and start with a story about when I saw him after college. And I was living in Texas and came through Cleveland, Tennessee on some of my travels. And I knew that he was in Cleveland, Tennessee. So I made time to stop off there. I was actually, I think, going to do some work in Chattanooga. And I had a job at a database company. We had a big customer in Chattanooga named Tennessee Valley Authority. And so I got up to see Jerry, and he was in Cleveland. And it was significant because he was talking about his faith and how he had come to faith. And then I was in Texas, and then a little while later, I heard from Jerry, and he shows up in Texas. And he was, I think he was just vacationing there. But again, it was just real special that we started keeping in touch through the years. And not too long ago, in 2012, 2013, I was working on a startup company, and Jerry wanted to be the first investor. And it was real important to him. He felt led by God to invest in what we were doing. And we were putting together a product that could actually, it was before artificial intelligence, and it wasn't before artificial intelligence. It was as artificial intelligence was getting some traction. Jerry was a programmer at the Supreme Court in Richmond, and he drove from Ruckersville and commuted. And I mean, that was a significant drive. And so he spent a lot of time, in his career commuting. But anyway, he knew about technology. He knew that what we were doing was going to be able to write programs using machines. That's what AI does now. And we were working on that, and he wanted to be the first one to invest. and we got together at my place in Concord, and he and his wife Ellen, and we had a good kickoff. And then, of course, that all kind of got derailed when my daughter got arrested. So God had other plans, but Jerry was always just real strong in the faith. And what his wife told me uh, when I got to talk to her just the other day, and this was here in early November, so he had been uh, buried by the family in a private ceremony, and that's the way they kind of wanted it, a private family ceremony. But I said, well, how was Jerry? How long was he sick and things like that? And she said, well, it was like November 23. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, but he was actually he took the news uh, in a really, uh, I guess, mature manner. And he was concerned about the doctor feeling bad. That was, Jerry was just very conscious about other people. And they treated it and had success. And of course, pancreatic cancer took Nancy Bryan, took Danny Perdue, and many others, I'm sure, have know people who they've lost to pancreatic cancer. But as our friend Richard Honecker, who was one of Jerry's friends,
Right.
when I told him, I remember I talked to him about pancreatic cancer when Nancy Bryan got it, because we were all part of the same church group. And Eric Eames was part of that group, and Nancy Lehman, who's now married to Steve Dean, and Mary Anderson, and Barb Mann, and Eddie St. Clair, and I can go on and on. Don Cato. I don't know if you remember any of those names, but we had a youth group. We were together a lot, and Jerry was a big part of that. And but anyway, I was going to tell about his uh, he he was Richard Honecker had said that once pancreatic cancer is detected, it's too late. That it's just
Yeah.
nature, and it's so kind of once you know you have that. Did you hear me say that he got into hospice?
I lost you there for a few minutes. Might be my location.
What was the last thing you heard?
Um,
Well, anyway, did you have anything else for right now? Did you have any stories about maybe
well,
being on the field with Jerry?
through Jerry, I got to meet his brother David, who became a really great friend through high school. David had a tremendous sense of humor and was a joy to be around. And we compared notes, but going through Jerry, he was like one of the Williamson Road boys that, you know, I just looked up to. Carter Fitzpatrick, Bill Kirko, Jay Childress, Fred Horice, that group. I followed Jerry's career through Fleming. He went on and played basketball and baseball at Fleming, and uh, just was like one of those role models that you wanted to be like, because that's just who he was. He was just splendid behavior throughout, and I was grateful to be able to meet David through Jerry. And Jerry, I didn't see him till like his 40th reunion after he graduated from high school, but he did remember me and did recall a few funny stories, and uh, remembered me being the little guy that they all kind of looked after as their little brother. And I was just so grateful for those guys, and guys like you that uh, could have pushed me aside, but you didn't. And I owe a lot to those guys that were just so good to me. And Jeremy was certainly one of those.
Well, he has two sons, and I got to meet them on occasion. I would travel through Ruckersburg and stop after we moved back to Virginia, and got to see them on several occasions. And I had been reaching out to him, but when I sent a note asking if he could meet at the Thunderbird, that's when I got a note from Ellen that he had already passed a month earlier. So
Well, it's a great loss, but he certainly left his mark on so many, and I'm being one of those that was so fortunate that he did.
it was a life well lived. So what let's do, David? Let's try to get some folks, and let's do this on a call, and maybe when we all can be seated, and then kind of have a little memorial service. I wanted to give it a test run on this, and I'll send you a copy of this recording.
Sounds great, Bill. Thank you so
And we'll
much.
we'll circle back, and we'll keep the family in our prayers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, see you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.